I'm Chip from the Digital Grandstand with another review of a team and its performances in this first half of the 2017 F1 Championship. This time we're taking a look at the Renault Formula 1 team. After a less than stellar 2016 campaign where Renault got back to grips with all things F1, in 2017 the team continued its slow but consistent march back to the front of the grid. By dropping Kevin Magnussen during the off-season and bringing in a proven talent in Nico Hulkenberg, expectations were a tad higher this season. Make no mistake, Nico is a great talent, even though his stats don't necessarily reflect that. He is all but assured to achieve the unwanted record for most Grand Prix starts without making the podium once. But he is ferociously fast, consistent, a bit rough around the edges, but a solid pair of hands nonetheless. His performances this season prove just that. He has scored all of the team's points so far, and when he wasn't betrayed by the car, he delivered each and every single time. A high point should undoubtedly be his performance in Great Britain, where he ended up best of the rest, behind just the leading teams of Mercedes, Ferrari and Red Bull. But an equally great race for the German was the Spanish Grand Prix and even the Russian one, where with a car pretty much underdeveloped, he kept the likes of Force India honest. As for the lows of the season so far, unquestionably the lack of performance of the car hurt him in China and Austria, while slight mistakes robbed him of good finishes in Azerbaijan and Hungary. As for his teammate, well, this is one of the most covered stories in F1 this season. Jolyon Palmer is a former GP2 champion, that much is a fact, but he's already in his second full F1 season and he doesn't have much to shout about, has he? He was hit by unreliability, yes, but more often than not, when a chance presents itself, he drops the ball. One major flaw with him is the qualifying performance. On average, he's 0.8 of a second slower than his teammate, which in F1 that equates to 1 year. He didn't get the upgrades as regularly as Nico, but in equal machines, he was still blown away. His highlight of the season so far is the Austrian Grand Prix, where he finished 11th. The third time that happened this season, and his deficit in qualifying was just 0.17 of a second. However, this happened on the shortest track on the calendar. So yeah, this is the story at the Renault team. One driver captures as many points as possible and the other fails to deliver almost race by race. 6.5 out of 10 is my rating for Renault, and I'm expecting a serious jump by the time F1 gets to Abu Dhabi. Future prospects for the team? Well, this is where it gets really interesting. In the post-Hungarian Grand Prix test, Renault offered a certain Robert Kubica the chance to drive the 2017 car in one full test day. And he did what's called a full testing session. Quali laps, race simulations, various engine modes used, different compound tires, and he was almost on Palmer's level by the end of the day. In his first day at the wheel of a much more challenging 2017 F1 car. For those of you who might not know, Kubica was a brilliant talent and future prospect in 2008 through 2011, famously winning the 2008 Canadian Grand Prix in what is to date his and Sauber's one and only F1 victory. He is a contemporary of the cream in F1 these days, Alonso, Hamilton, Vettel, and the general consent is that Kubica was the best in this bunch. A nasty rally accident in the winter of 2011 almost claimed his life, eventually leaving him with serious limitations on his right arm and hand. With this in mind, imagine that he drove more than 100 laps round the Hungaroring in a 2017 F1 beast. So that is why many are tipping him for a full drive at Renault next year, and if it will happen, he won't replace Nico Hulkenberg. Other outside bets for Palmer's seat are Sergei Sirotkin, Renault's official test driver, and even Fernando Alonso, although Kubica is the major talking point. I guess we'll apply the old wait-and-see method on this one. Personally, I'm keeping my expectations in check in regard to Kubica. But imagine what it will mean to him, after all he went through, to have the chance to race once more at the highest level against his early days rivals like Hamilton, Vettel and Alonso. So there you have it, the midterm report for Renault Formula 1 team. Do you disagree with my views? Who would you like to see at Renault next year, and are you rooting for Kubica to return? Go on, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more F1 related content. I've been Chip, you can find me on Twitter at chip_DGS, and I'll see you next time on the Digital Grandstand.